Thank you so much for coming and joining the ABC. You are one of our ABC members, and if you would like to introduce yourself and your business, that would be great.
Right, sure. Well, my name is Nick Stockbridge. My company is called Transmedia Communications. We are a software development and training company.
And you joined ABC partly because of your interest in expanding into the African market.
Yeah.
Could you tell us a bit about why Africa is interesting to you, and particularly for your products?
Yeah, sure. Well, we had got, prior to joining, we had got some experience in Africa. So about 4 or 5 years ago, we were asked by the UN in Kenya to build a couple of products. So one was for the Kenyan prison service and one was for the Seychelles police force. So that was really our introduction to working in Africa. But personally, you know, it was me representing our company. I went out there, and I loved it. I'm very much attracted to working more in Africa. So I've come to you, ABC, and the Ford organisation, and everybody's been really helpful. And that's my goal now, just to try and build up some more business for us in Africa in various countries.
Perfect. And could you tell us a bit about your process? You've said a little, but what has been your process in planning your expansion into the African market?
Yeah, okay. Well, a couple of different things. First of all, and I would recommend this to any other members, I didn't realise until I directly found out, but the UK government actually does provide a business advisor to people. So as I say, I really didn't know this, but anybody, so that would be all the Ford members, really anybody at all, would qualify for a business advisor. So that's my first recommendation. They'll help you. You're going in and you'll talk about the markets you want to address. They'll find local people. So in my case, I was talking about countries such as Kenya, Ghana, Nigeria, one or two others. And they've been very helpful. They've put me onto local people. So the British government will have, normally based in the British High Commission, that sort of thing, they'll have local people whose job it is to help us British companies who have an interest in expanding into Africa. So that's one of the things I did, and I would definitely recommend it. One of the other things I did was to try to contact private sector organisations that do a similar sort of thing. So chambers of commerce would be a good example. So, for example, the British and Congolese Chamber of Commerce, the Nigerian British Chamber of Commerce. So I've met some good people through there. They've been supportive.
So it sounds like networking is quite key.
No, absolutely, yeah. And I was going to go on to say that the third one is simply that. It's just be open to meeting as many people as possible. I've had a path of doing a lot of networking. I'm slowing down slightly now, but that's really because I've got various people and organisations and so on that I want to pursue. But for a while I was sort of manically attending lots of different networking events. But in almost no cases have I wasted my time. You know, I've met some really nice, really helpful people that I might collaborate with, people I've already started to talk about some projects which, you know, have a decent chance of coming off. So yeah, as you say, networking is everything. If you don't go out and talk to people, how are they going to know what your goals are, what they might be interested in to help you with, or how you could help them? So yeah, networking is the thing.
So networking is something that we talk a lot about, but how do you personally make it? How have you made it effective for yourself?
It's honestly, I think it's just the quality of the people you get lucky with. You know, I have been to networking events and probably came away thinking that wasn't that great, but that's relatively rare. I'd say, you know, honestly, I've met quite a few different people, and you just have to explain what your goals are. In my case, our company is a technology company, and I think maybe we're quite lucky there because it's a broad thing. We could potentially be of help to lots of different organisations. So, you know, you might be involved in healthcare or education or art, or there's so many different things that an organisation might be involved in, but you know, almost certainly you won't also be a technology company yourselves. So it's a good entree, I think, for us because, as I say, we could potentially help lots of different other sectors. And that's just where the conversation starts.
Fantastic. And what are some of the challenges you've had going in a new direction?
I think the greatest challenge is not being there. You know, the fact that we don't have an office yet. You know, we are still London-based. I very much hope we will have an office at some point, but you know, equally that's very expensive. Of course, you know, we can't just go to Nairobi or Kampala or Kigali or somewhere and just set up an office as much as I'd like us to. So we have to. Everything has to kind of fall in parallel, and we just have to try and pursue things and take advantage of things as they come. So not being on the ground enough is something we suffer from a little bit, but we just have to make that cope. I think as a small company, that's what you can do. The other thing is, I wish I had. If you want to ask me what are my failings, one thing is I wish I had better French. So I stopped learning French at school. At that time, I was kind of okay, but I let it really slip. So effectively, it means as for me individually, I'm very dependent on English speakers. So I'm ruling out Francophone countries where they are very French focused. So that's not everybody, and lots of people, as we all know, have fantastic English wherever you go, and that's a joy for me. So I could say to other members, if you've got some French, do take advantage of that. Go for the countries where they will be delighted that you've made that effort. I think that will go down quite well. I can't do it at the moment. It's on my list of things to do, along with learning Swahili. But yeah, try and give yourself a couple of extra skills if you can.
Fantastic. So we've talked about your challenges, but what opportunities have you also found?
Yeah, well, because we have these two products, the prison service tool and the police tool, it's meant that I've wanted to capitalise on those. So that means that I'm trying to talk to governments. Obviously, it's only really governments who are going to be who we can talk to about selling those products to. So that won't be the case for every member, I'm sure, because there'll be all sorts of products and services that people offer. But it can be a challenge dealing with African governments. You know, of course it can, and you're very relationship dependent. So partly why I've spent a lot of time trying to build up relationships, and I just need to try and reach a level of trust and have entrees into government departments, and it's not easy, but I've got a couple of possibilities, and so still going with those.
Brilliant. And you've given us a few throughout talking with you, but what tips, or what are your key tips you'd give to others who are thinking of trying out new markets?
Yeah, so the French is one thing, but networking, you know, maybe it probably just goes back to that original thing. Networking, just be as open as possible. I'd say, don't be constantly talking about what you want to do, how other people can help you make money. You know, it doesn't make sense to do that in my view. You know, I really try and but show that I'm very much open to collaboration. I'll meet with anybody. I'll talk to anybody. I'll give advice for free where that's useful, where people don't have that much knowledge of technology. So I think just, you know, be completely open, look for opportunities, try and keep up to date with news that comes out of Africa. You know, what are the industries where local governments seem to be valuing? So perhaps in a certain country, agriculture might be something the government wants to really attract more investment in. In other countries, it might be education. So if your services can fit into those, that would be a good starting point. So just look for those opportunities.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, and all the best.
Very welcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.